Hey, welcome to Table Talk Podcast. We are going over Zoom today because Kaleb is in Colorado. He's at a conference, and we were just talking about it. And it seems like he's having a great time. Some really cool ministry things happening there at the church that the conference is at, and so we're glad he gets to go and do that and get rejuvenated, get some ideas, and spend some time with other Christians from all around the world. So how's your trip going, Kaleb?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm in Colorado Springs. I've never been to Colorado before, so definitely very cool. Like stepping off the plane through the airport and seeing the mountains outside was really pretty. But yeah, it's been great. I'm here at the Forge America Summit. So Forge is it's a international church planting, and then also missional church. Engagement, basically conference, what they do. So they help existing churches and new churches become more missional where they're at. So the whole goal is to help every person become a practitioner of mission. So following God in their mission that God has for them. For every gathering the church has to be on mission. So everything we do is pushing us toward the mission of expanding the kingdom of God. And then every city being transformed, every city a reflection of the kingdom. So it really ties in well with what we've been talking about as we are rolling out our mission statement of navigating Knoxville toward wholeness in Jesus. This is what we're talking about. How do each of us play a part in that? How does everything we do as a church push us toward that? And then how do we help our community be transformed in the light of the gospel, in the light of the kingdom? So it's been really good. There are Christians here from all over the country, all over the world. Had dinner last night with a guy from Scotland. There's a guy from Tanzania here. So it's very cool. And also cross-denominational, which is interesting. Been really cool. There's Methodist, Christian Church, Baptist, more charismatic, Pentecostal. You kind of name it. That tradition is here. So very cool. If you know Alan Bradford, Alan's taught at Westtown several times. Alan is actually on the board, the national board for America. So that was where my invitation came through. And I'm hoping there's a lot of really practical resources here for us to put into place and for us to help reach our community in more impactful ways for the kingdom.
Yeah, it sounds like a really cool conference. And I know when we were talking, you had said, hopefully, like you'll come back, you'll have some cool ideas and stuff. And my first response is, at least, hopefully, you're getting your cup filled. That's so important in ministry. I mean, it's important for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times in ministry, it can be easy to get to pour out of our cup, trying to love people and stuff like that, and doing what we do on Sunday mornings, that sometimes you got to go get your cup filled, so that you can go and yourself continue to fill other people's cups.
Yeah, and it's definitely been that so far. It's been great to meet people, and I love hearing about people's stories, and so getting to hear what God's doing in other people's contexts and in their churches is just really exciting. And it's one of those things that you get encouraged by seeing what God's doing in other places, and we never want to copy what somebody else is doing, because I think God has particular callings for each congregation. But it's inspiring, how God's called insert church here on this mission, and they're pursuing it. It's inspiring for us to hopefully do the same thing with what we feel like God's leading us. So definitely feeling encouraged and inspired, and had some really powerful worship yesterday. You got to experience God's presence here with these people. So it's very, very cool, very good stuff.
Well, I'm glad you're getting to do that. You leave for like 20 minutes, and I like shave all my beard off.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened. You look totally different.
There you go. It's a little bit. So
you look like the David when I met you like 10 years ago.
So I didn't go all the way and like shave down to nothing, but
yeah,
it was like every 5 years I just get like I just want this thing gone, man. And I just got clippers.
People say about me too. Only it's like every 5 weeks. Just want this thing going.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing that. Sunday was the last week of this series that we've been in, the art of neighboring. and you wrapped that series up, and it's we obviously took a break for like
Hmm.
Easter Sunday, but it's a really good series, and I felt like yesterday or Sunday was a great one to end on in the sense
Hmm.
of that's I think the fear and
Hmm.
nervousness and that that's the one thing that can hold us back. I think most people we get through the series and they go, "Yeah, we should be loving people." Like that's the easy part to agree
Right.
with. We
Right.
should be loving people. We should be bringing them in to our lives and to our communities. We should be going out. Like I think everybody probably agrees with that. But the fear part of it is the part that I think most people struggle with. Do you want to talk a little bit about what your sermon was
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Sure. So we struggle, I think, with being afraid, either a being afraid of other people or even skeptical. I think skeptical is, you could interchange that too. Um, and also our fear is pretty self centered. Um, I think that's the difference between like discernment and fear. Um, Discernment, I think, seeks to find like what is right and true for everyone in the situation. Fear, I think, only looks at things through inherently a selfish lens. Not that that's bad, but that's just kind of the way it works. Um, and so sometimes we're prone to fear either a other people. We're afraid that they're going to hurt us, mess with the community, um, mess with what we've got going on, whatever. Or we're just skeptical that they're not worthy of God's love. Um, and so the goal is, for us to move beyond that, to move from fear to love. First of all, it frees us. It frees us from, the negative feeling of fear and the way that fear weighs us down and can hold us back and paralyze us. But it also frees other people. It frees them from our judgment or our skepticism of them. It allows us to take greater steps in introducing them to Jesus. And that's exactly what happened in Acts chapter 10. That's the story we looked at with Peter and Cornelius. Peter struggled with Gentile inclusion in the church. Peter and many others believed that Gentiles had to become Jews before they could become followers of Jesus. And through this kind of wild dream, God revealed to Peter, hey, like, you don't call anything unclean that I've made clean. And so Peter's convicted. He goes, he meets Cornelius. The Holy Spirit falls on his whole household. And Peter begins to see that the thing I was afraid of, or the person that I was skeptical of, God's actually been here working, and I was totally unaware of it. And so the problem with fear, especially when it comes to loving our neighbors, is that fear actually robs us of the opportunity to step into what God's already doing. One of the things we said Sunday is that God's already at work in the world. God's already moving. God is already drawing people to Himself. Um, he invites us to join Him in that, and our fear gets in the way of partnering with Him in that. So it's not easy. It's not easy to let go of our fear. It's not easy to drop our skepticism, because that's human nature. But as John tells us, God's perfect love casts out our fear. And so hopefully the more in tune we are with God's love and experience it for ourselves, our fears are removed, um, more and more.
yeah, definitely. And it wasn't like after this event Peter just automatically didn't have those fears. We read later on that that he had to be corrected uh,
Hmm.
by Paul for
Sure.
doing it again. So those it's not that he saw that and those fears were just instantly relieved and he saw like, oh, okay, everything's fine. No, he had to battle through that, and it's something that he had to be reminded of by other people, and something uh, that he had to be confronted with later. So it's I don't think that it's something where you just get over it and this whatever that fear is or
Sure.
whatever, and then that's it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Even Peter with this had to be
Hmm.
corrected again, and it's something for us to remember. Like, hey, we need to make sure that we're not living in that, or that we're not holding back because of our preconceived notions or what we um, what we perceive from other people. They wouldn't want this, or they don't even care, or they're not good enough, or whatever. Don't let those things creep back in
Mhm.
like they did for Peter.
Yeah, and it's hard not to because we're human beings. We have natural judgments. Like it's hard not to judge and have that reactions to things and the people. We live in a culture that feeds us fear.
Mhm.
So fear of others, fear of collapse, fear of disaster, fear of um, crime. Like we're constantly kind of fed bad news stories, and we often see people painted in the worst light in our media, in our news, and that kind of thing. So it makes it really hard to overcome that. But the reality is that most people are trying to get through their day, and I think there's a great opportunity for the church to step in and show up in people's lives and say, "Hey, you know what? I know how to help you get you through your day, but also, what about through like your life? Let me introduce you to a person that can help do that." And so there's such a great opportunity there for us. But you're right; it's almost like putting on the God every day. You have to remind yourself every day, "Hey,
Yeah.
don't walk in fear. Don't walk in fear. Do not be afraid. Jesus is with me. He's already gone before me. God's already working in this place." We have to remind ourselves of that constantly.
Yeah. We the children's ministry. We went with the other example he used in the book, which is the 12 spies in Canaan,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the story we went with. This 12 spies go in, they see the land, they see what God has done. It's like it's a blessed land, and they come back, and 10 of them were scared to go forward, and two of them were like, "Hey, God's with us. We can do this." And they allowed that fear to stop them from doing what God's calling was
Mm-hmm.
on them. Like, hey, I'm bringing you into this promised land. Don't stop doing what my calling is for you because of fear. And when we looked at it, and coming out of all the Shema series that we just did, and going through this art of neighbor, and what we see is God's calling us is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. That is what God's ultimate calling on us is. And
Yep.
most every other individual calling on our life comes out of that and is
Yep.
birthed out of that. And so don't be afraid of what God has called you to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so God has already promised it to you. He's going to make you successful in those areas, and He's going to bless you. And maybe not. It may not be like every time you talk to your neighbor, you're successful and they become a Christian, and it's
Right.
like that's not the promise that God has given us. He's promised to be with us during all those
Mm-hmm.
conversations, and like we've said on here before, planting seeds, and we can't we may not be the one that's harvest, but we can plant the
Yep.
seeds, or maybe the seed is planted and we're watering, and let God work, let God do the work that He has told us He will do
Mm-hmm.
when we're faithful to Him. We just have to be willing to go out and do it and
That's right.
overcome the fear, knowing God's promise to us.
That's right. Somebody said here at this conference yesterday that our fruit most likely will grow on somebody else's tree.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So
I love
it's
that.
definitely, yeah, definitely a challenge, but
Yep,
it's a good one and one that God promises to reward us and bless us through.
definitely. Peter's speaking this week. We've got
Mm-hmm.
the high school graduation Sunday, and he's going to be speaking, and I think that'll be really good, and talking about the next generation and how we can reach them and why it's important. So I think that'll be really good. You'll be back, correct?
Yes, I'll be there. Yep.
Sunday.
Yep. I'm heading
Children.
back from here Thursday.
Cool. Children's ministry. We're doing May the 4th be with you, and we're going to be talking about um, how God helps us overcome darkness and evil and the dark side, and so I think that's going to be really cool. So you may see some people in some some Star Wars shirts and stuff like that. So I think that'll be a really fun Sunday.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Start a new series Sunday, and you're ready for the summer. It's going to be a fun few months.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Caleb, for jumping on Zoom, taking time out of your busy week and chatting with us and kind of going over this series. And thank you if you're listening or watching online. Thank you for joining us for Table Talk Podcast. We hope you join us back next week for this new series. It's going to be great.
Yep. Thanks, guys, so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.